Welcome back to JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Stu and I are back here again with another liquidity list, this time for basketball. Running down our top 10 liquid assets in the basketball hobby in less than 10 minutes. We're going to run through it as quick as we can here for you today, give you something to use when you're out there sourcing your cards, getting some new inventory, and we're going to go through it right after this. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you again for joining us here at JC3 Cards and Collectibles. It's our installment series, the Liquidity List, the Top 10 and 10, where we run down the top 10 moving cards in a number of different sports. And today, we're focusing on basketball. So the NBA Finals have just ended this week. In case there's somebody out there that hasn't watched that last game, I'm going to refrain from giving any spoilers here. But it was quite the series, or finals, I should say. And it definitely impacted our top 10 and our second tier through the top 20 as well. So it's interesting to see how current events certainly play a big part in the hobby market and whose cards are moving. So I will tell you, this week we did see a new entry in the top 10. We saw a couple new entries in the top 20. We saw some big slides from a few people in the top 10 to create some more opportunity for some additional players. Our overall list that we're scanning now is up to about 140 players we're looking at data for to get you these lists and get you their rankings. So hopefully this helps everybody out. I know I've gotten lots of feedback that people are enjoying this content. We're going to keep making it. We've transitioned from doing it weekly to now this is going to be a 2-week look at sales tonight, and next one might be a 3-week sales. And I think 3-week is kind of where we're going to do. We're going to do basketball tonight, then we're going to have some football next week, then baseball the week after that, and then back to basketball. That 3-week window gives a pretty good span to tell who's going up and who's going down and still have time to catch some of those waves as they come through. So that's how we do things here. Again, the liquidity list is just a measure of how quickly you can turn some of these cards on eBay using fixed listings, ungraded cards typically, what a low-end card seller like myself and JC3 would be doing. So I want to take a minute also to acknowledge a great loss in the NBA this week. This is the second episode now, pretty close together, where we had to talk about a loss in the NBA family. The NBA lost Jerry West recently. The logo, if you will. If you were not aware, Jerry West is the inspiration for the NBA logo. That logo is a shadow image of a picture of Jerry West in action. Fantastic player in his playing career. Also an 8-time NBA champion as an executive in the NBA. As a player, he won one championship. He also won, this tells you a lot, he won an NBA Finals MVP, even though his team did not win that year. 14-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star Game MVP. 10-time All-NBA first-team player. 4-time NBA All-Defensive first-team player. He was the NBA scoring champion in 1970, the assists leader in 1972. He was named to 3 different NBA anniversary teams, the 35th, 50th, and 75th anniversary teams. His number 44 was retired by the Los Angeles Lakers. Great success in the NCAA in college as well. He won a Final Four Most Outstanding Player, two-time consensus first-team All-American. And his number 44 in college has been retired by the West Virginia Mountaineers as well. So fantastic career by Jerry West. He will be missed by all in the NBA and many with a love of the NBA as a fan as well. So let's take a quick look here at last week's list so you can get an idea of who was where in our last list and understand who the movers are this week. As I said, we do have a little bit of movement this week. Some new entries. We have some people sliding. A couple players slid significantly in the list and are in danger of dropping out. So, who's going to be at our number one this week? Great question. We're going to show you that. A little bit of trivia time as well. So, speaking of Jerry West, pulled some numbers for Jerry West. Who do you think? Who do you think sold more cards in the last 2 weeks? Do you think it's Jerry West, or do you think it is someone like Kyrie Irving? Okay. So we've got a modern player there in Kyrie Irving, and we've got a retired player in Jerry West. We will answer that for you later on in the show. So give that some thought. Who sold more cards the last 2 weeks, Jerry West or Kyrie Irving? All right. So now that we've covered our list from last week, I bet you're all ready to jump into this week's list. So let's get to it right now.
Tipping things off at number 10, Jaylen Brown. Number 9, Luka Doncic. Number 8, Anthony Edwards. Number 7, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 6, Boston Celtic, Jason Tatum. Hitting the court with our top 5, Steph Curry. Number 4, WNBA phenom Caitlin Clark. Number 3, LeBron James. Suspended in the number 2 spot, Michael Jordan. And holding tightly to our top spot, NBA Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama.
Well, there we go. There is our top 10 liquidity list for the last 2 weeks in basketball. We've got Wemby holding tight to that number 1 spot. Michael Jordan still there in number 2. King James, LeBron as our top 3. And then we've got Caitlin Clark still holding strong up there. She's having some struggles in the WNBA this year, adjusting to a more physical game. But her card market is staying strong. We got Steph Curry. Now we got the Celtic effect. Those NBA finals certainly gave a boost to those Celtics. We saw Jason Tatum boost up to number 6. And we saw Jaylen Brown join our top 10 for the first time with over 2,500 cards sold in the last 2 weeks. It will be interesting to see if they can stay there for the next couple of weeks. Rounding it out with them, Giannis still out there, Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, They both keep sliding down. I anticipate they are going to fall out of our top 10 pretty soon. It's just a matter of time. Now, what about our top 20, numbers 11 through 20? Let's take a look right up here. We can see some of our stalwarts. Shaquille's there. Kobe slipped out of our top 10. He's in that number 12 spot. Ja Morant, Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard. These guys are regulars out there in this second tier. The Celtic effect again. Kristaps Porzingis makes an appearance in our top 20 at number 16. The answer, Allen Iverson, Brandon Miller, our only other rookie, along with Wemby, that is in the top 20. Devin Booker and Anthony Davis round out that top 20. Some of those guys that are on the fringe, knocking on the door, looking to get in there, and have been in our top 20 before and may bounce back. You got guys like Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton. Paul George made a strong showing in the last week. Tim Duncan, he made a strong showing in the last week or so. And then a guy that slid a little bit, Derek Lively the second. He dropped out of our top 20, and he may be out for a while now. It'll be interesting to see where the NBA market goes from here. With the season officially over, we typically see some reduction in sales, and we didn't really see that over the last 2 weeks because of the hype of the finals. But now that the finals are over, those sales a lot of times drop off a cliff for the next few months. Football is picking up, baseball is going strong. Those tend to dominate the market now for the next couple of months. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true. The other thing that I would throw out there is really a theory, an unproven theory, that once the regular season and playoffs end, I think we'll see some of those legendary Hall of Famers, top tier players really surge a little bit. Not necessarily surge, but you will start to see them rise into our top 20 a little more, because I think the current active players that make a little bit of a splash during the season will start to settle a little bit, now that there are not games. And you might see guys like Shaq jump back up into the top 20. You might see a Larry Bird jump up there. Dennis Rodman, Vince Carter, Magic Johnson. You could see some of those guys creep up into the top 20. You could see some of the guys in the top 10 maybe make a surge as well. Maybe we see MJ back at the top of the list here before long. Maybe Kobe jumps back into that top 10. I could see any of that happening now that this season is over. So let me know what you think. Make sure to comment below your thoughts on the list this week. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this content. Subscribe if it's your first time. All of that helps me direct where our content goes, and how often and how much of this we want to put out there. Now, back to our trivia question from before the list. We asked the question, who do you think sold more cards in the last 2 weeks? Do you think it was Jerry West, or do you think it would be current superstar Kyrie Irving? And the reason we asked that with Jerry West is because the NBA recently lost Jerry West to ripe old age. Fantastic career, Hall of Famer. So, what does that do for a player's sales? Does it give them a boost? Do they stay where they are? So, what was your guess? Did you take Jerry West or Kyrie Irving? Well, I will tell you that only about 100 sales separated them in the last 2 weeks. So that in itself is interesting, right? You have a player that hasn't played now in, oh gosh, when was his last season? It must have been the late 70s, right? So, over 40 years since he has played, actually close to 50 years since he played. Um, and still hanging in there with a current star. So the answer is Jerry West outsold Kyrie Irving over the last 2 weeks. And I call that the PMB. That would be the post-mortem bump. We see that in the hobby every time a legend passes away. A couple weeks ago, we saw that with Bill Walton, who made his way all the way up into our list. And now, a couple weeks removed, Bill Walton has slid back down into what we see more often from Hall of Famers, retired players that aren't as, I'll say, relevant in media every day. Now, Bill Walton had his announcing gig, which kept him a little more visible in the media. But that still didn't stop him from sliding down the list. So, 2 lists ago, he sold Bill Walton, we're talking about here. 2 lists ago, 11,048 cards. And I believe that was in a 1 week span. Then he went to 666 cards the next week and just 292 in the last 2 weeks. Similarly, Jerry West, I profiled his numbers in my very first list, which took a month's worth of data. He sold 485 cards. Then 2 weeks ago, I pulled his numbers again to see how he was doing, and he sold 91 cards in that week. Now, over the last 2 weeks, Jerry West sold 1,165 cards. That is the PMB effect, the postmortem bump. It is real, but it doesn't last very long. Now, in my store, I'll still carry Jerry West because he is a legend of the game. He's the logo. How can you not carry him? But it is interesting. Sales will boost after a legend like that passes away. So, safe home, Jerry West. We wish you all the best and your family. Peace be with you. You had a fantastic career and you will not be forgotten. So that is our list for this week. I hope you enjoyed. Again, give me some comments out there if there's anybody you didn't see in the list that you would like to know what their numbers were like. Let me know. I'm pretty good about answering those right away. We've had some users spot some omissions in the list before. With so many players out there, current and past, it is difficult to always grab every player to pull up. As I said, I'm up to about 140 players that I look at their sales numbers every week. There are many more players in history for the NBA. Now, most often, some of those retired legends aren't going to jump a lot from week to week unless something spectacular happens, as we've seen with Jerry West, Bill Walton, or some new media event happens with them. Let's say Charles Barkley wins $20 million on a parlay bet in Vegas. He's probably going to get a boost in his card sales for a week, okay? So let me know in the comments if you think we missed anybody. Until next time, this is Stu and I saying peace out. Take care of each other.